how do you make sure that your staff is indicative of your mission?
So we convey a family atmosphere, like Joey was saying. It's all about family. And whether you're, the agent, your family with us, our doors are always open. We always profess something that you can call me up literally from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. We answer our phones because you might be out in the field. You need some kind of help or contact. We answer our phones because we're always there for them. I just hate, you call up an insurance agent or you call up somebody, it seems nobody answers their phone anymore. But the idea was you call us, we answer our phone. It's a constant availability we have with our agents. And our mission is, first, we have to help out the senior population. That's what it's all about. It's about making sure those seniors have their health care capped, have their retirement solution. It has to be all in place because we know there's a lot of bankruptcy, a lot of hardship in the senior communities. So our mission is to help them. We have to help out the senior population. So who is going to help out the seniors? But it's insurance agents. So we have to make sure if the agents are going to help those seniors, which is our mission, well, we have to help those insurance agents. And that's all with the mentoring, coaching, and training and availability. It really works for us.
Welcome to the Frustrated CEO podcast. My name is Patrick Lyons. I am one of your co-hosts here with my friend and colleague, Patsy Feeman. Patsy, welcome to you.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. We haven't actually recorded together in a few months. Took a little time off after the new year. And we are starting off our reunion, I guess you could call it, with a bang. Typically, as you know, listener, we would have one guest. Today, we're actually bringing you three remarkable individuals, father and two sons from the Battaglia family. So let me introduce Joe Battaglia Sr. Joe is the founder and CEO of Senior Services of North America, which also shortens to SSNA. We will be referring to SSNA throughout the episode. We're joined not just by Joe Sr., but by his eldest son, Joey Battaglia, who's the president, and his younger son, Nick Battaglia, Senior Vice President. Now, SSNA was established in 2006 and headquartered in Melville, New York. And it has emerged as a leader in the Medicare health insurance marketplace, assisting thousands of clients annually with their Medicare coverage options, with life insurance and wealth solutions. Now, in today's episode, we plan to cover topics like dealing with and leading through rapid growth. You're going to want to stick around for that because SSNA has gone through a couple of years of really rapid growth, and obviously that tests the system. We're also going to talk about leveraging the dynamics of a family business, innovation and adaptation, and anything else that we decide we want to cover as we go along. Let me pause and welcome Joe Sr., Joey, and Nick Battaglia to the Frustrated CEO podcast. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great to have you. I'm excited. So let's start with you, Joe Sr. So you established SSNA in 2006. What inspired you to do so? And how has that vision evolved over now almost 20 years?
So really what you look at is, and they're laughing because they know my story, right? Everybody knows the story. What was it? How did it start? From a
postcard.
From a postcard. I received a postcard in the mail, and it spoke about the Medicare health industry, what was going on, new products coming to the marketplace. So I looked at the postcard, and one thing I could share with everybody is you must follow up on every piece of mail that you get. I look back, and if I would have just took a postcard and threw it away like most people do, we wouldn't be here today. So I encourage everybody to look at every opportunity. Don't be negative about it. Open up the card, check it out what it is, make the phone calls, vet what the whole process is and see if it makes sense for you. So I received this postcard, and it spoke about Medicare, and I knew where the health industry was going in our country. We knew that, health concerns was always on top of every senior out there or every American out there. So I knew it was a very good industry. And then I called up the number, followed up on it, met with those folks. As soon as I heard the idea, I knew it was something good. But I knew that I really didn't need them to do that, to teach me, because once I hear something, I know what it is, we're off to the races with it. So as soon as I heard what it was, I said, you know what? I could do this very easily. And, I just worked the system. I figured it out along the way, contacted your insurance companies, put processes together. I actually did it in the beginning. There's an AP season, which starts the season off in Medicare. It was exceptional for me. And from there, I knew I was in the right industry. That's the way it started, Patrick.
Well, first of all, how long did you fly solo before this became a family business? And if my conversation with Joey before we started rolling, it's more than just the you and your sons working in the business, right? You've got other family members in the business.
Right. My wife's involved. My sister-in-law is involved. We have other family members involved. You just can't get away from us, Patrick. We're all involved together. One big happy.
So that brings obviously a lot of there's synergy in having a lot of family members, right? There's opportunity, there's creativity. It also brings some challenges. So what was the evolution of? How did you get from then to here with all of these family members in the business? So
I was always the type of person I like to be in command of everything. So I was always, I didn't bring my family members into it because I want to make sure it was right. And as I progressed, I knew it was the right business. And then my son was, I think it was 17, going on 18. Yeah. He was 17. And then, what I said to him, once you get your license, he's going to college and all that stuff like that. I said, get your license. Why not do this? Because I know what we can build from here. So he said yes. He did that right away. So I was in the business maybe 4 years.
No, it's about 2 years.
2 years it was?
2 years, yeah, about 2 years.
2 years. And then we said, Joey, get your license. He got his license. And I have to share a story with you that's really important, Patrick. So I knew that my son, they heard me throughout the course of my life. I was on the phones, making calls. So I guess they got it from me, but it was in them.
Of course he wants to take credit.
Well, I got to take credit.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You see the way it starts, Patrick, how I got to deal with them every day, but it's okay. I love them. So we started, he comes into this thing, right? And we start just talking about it. But one day I happened to hear, I was going to the restrooms and I heard him in the hallway, this person talking on the phone, right? I don't know who it was, but as I got closer to the stairway, I heard it more and more. And I stepped back and I said, wow, this person sounds great on the phone, right? So I said, maybe I could recruit this person to come with me. I open up the door and it's him. It's my son, Joey. So he fell right into us, and he was he was perfect. He was ready for the position. And right away from there, we just started going into things. And I think it was very important. How did Nikki get involved with this now? What do we do with Nikki?
Well, I think it was kind of the same thing. Now, before that was the same as Joey. I got my license when I was 18 years old. So I always saw what he was doing and him. And then I had a gym at that time. I owned a gym. And I would do it in the middle of the day when the gym was closed. Yeah. I would come to the office, call leads, make sales like that. And it was always just a great industry because I saw that money I was making part-time with Medicare was paying for my life to go on other ventures and see what else is out there.
Yeah, so it was incredible. And I think what we really look at is through the years, you asked, how do we start from here and get to here? And I think the most important thing is, and somebody said this to me, they said, you know what, Joe? You really built the foundation for senior service in North America. But, my sons are the younger generation, right? They bring this AI, they bring the whole tech industry, they bring it together. And they made this massive talent out for senior services. So we really are together. We're really asset. I mean, it's incredible. I really enjoy being around.
And there's one thing to selling a product. There's another to selling it successfully. And then there's another to have raving fans. And I suspect you guys have raving fans. So I wonder what is
Joe,
secret sauce for that.
I think what you said when you're in sales, you could sell a product or you could provide a solution to a common problem that masses go through. And when you look at our industry, 11,400 people a day turn 65. It's going to be, Nikki, what's the number? 80 million, 50 million?
It's 80 million.
80 million people in the coming years are going to be on Medicare. So the population is there. And with constant changing going on, we're providing a massive solution. So when you look at what we do, the raving fan is on both ends. See, I always say, our end user is the senior because we really don't deal with the senior directly. They're the end user of the products and services that we provide. Our direct user is the agent. So the biggest thing is if we could show an agent how to be successful in helping people and provide a living, well, you created a raving fan. And I think that's what we do. And it's kind of what drives us every day, right? It's how are we better serving the agent community? You look at the insurance agent community, there's roughly 1.5 million of us around. It's 92% of insurance agents fail. Not because they want to fail, it's just they don't have the home to give them all of those tools and
So I'm curious,
resources that they need.
if we think
so
of
if
your
every day we come to
agents
work
as
every day
your
saying,
customers,
how
right?
do we
Again,
provide
our
an agent
listener
with everything that they need?
running a business
and an
has
agent
customers.
is not one size fits all.
Your customers
every
aren't
agent is
one
different.
size fits
so you
all.
can't have,
So
sometimes
many
a
agents out
company
there.
comes
How
out
do
and
you
say, well, we have this
how do you
system
make
that
sure
works.
that you
well, that
are
system also has to be
providing
adaptable
the solutions
to
that they
different
need?
people,
Talk
because
about
if
how,
it's
how do
only
you gather
adaptable
that
to one type
feedback,
of person,
that input?
well, you're not really helping everyone.
Focus
so it's
groups.
kind of cool.
How do you stay in
all
touch
of
with
us
them to
have
make sure?
different
And
ideas.
Joe,
and I
you've
think
already used the
different
word
traits,
adapt,
and
right?
when
You've
we
got to
come
adapt
together,
to what
we're
they
able
need.
to
How do
adapt
you
to a
stay
lot
in
of
tune
different
with what they
agents,
need, and then
which
make sure that you're
again
how do you
develops
stay
that raving
adaptable?
fan.
Yeah, what you really have to look at is your staff that's behind you, because your staff is indicative of what your mission is. So our staff is really, we cue them in on exactly how we want to be there for the agents, right? We want to be agent centric. So we want to make sure the agent is really understands how to build the business. We're building a business together with the agent. We're not just telling them to get contract. Patsy, you mentioned something very, very important. Just because someone gets their insurance license doesn't guarantee their success. Once they get their license, they don't get a letter from the insurance department saying, follow these steps and you will become a multimillionaire. Nothing like that. So we really stand behind our agents because our staff knows what we're looking for. So when they get on board, whether it's from contracting, the initial step of contracting, we help them through that process. And then we're going to mentor, coach, and train them from all the successes we know of agents across the country, the successes that we had personally during the course of the years. So we're always mentoring, coaching, and training them. We always have constant communication, because the moment you leave an agent by themselves, nothing's going to happen. So we don't let that happen. Our staff is regularly going out and contacting these agents. We have in-house seminars. We have webinars going on all the time, because without communication, without contact, it's never going to work. Just like we share with the insurance agents, you always need to have constant contact with the end user, those seniors. You got to keep in communication. So we're really, what's the word we're looking for? We're really making sure we secure, the relationship between the senior and the agent to us. And it really works. It really works. We enjoy it.
Well, as you had stated, I would think one of your values is working together. And when described from your staff all the way to the ultimate customer, which is a senior, that is a value that seems to go through every piece that
absolutely. We do too. We have a lot of staff meetings. Every company has staff meetings, but we invite feedback from them. I might hear them during the course of the day. I'll hear something one of the staff members is saying on the phone, Joey or Nikki does, and we roundtable and say, do you think we should be changing things in that department? Because Joey mentioned the adaptability. So it's always looking, you mentioned before, Patrick, change. Change, we know it's always going to be there. So how are you embracing that change, and what are you doing to make the change effective as far as productivity? So we're always looking at what's going on. We listen to our staff, what's going on. We invite suggestions from them. And from there, we develop how to make ourselves better. We're not perfect, but every day we make it that we're getting close to becoming perfect.
Joe, you said your staff is indicative of your mission.
Yep.
I think every listener, every leader, they all want that. How do you do that? How do you make sure that your staff is indicative of your mission?
So we convey a family atmosphere, like Joey was saying. It's all about family. And whether you're, the agent, your family with us, our doors are always open. We always profess something that you can call me up literally from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. We answer our phones. Because you might be out in the field, you need some kind of help or contact. We answer our phones because we're always there for them. I just hate, you call up an insurance agent or you call up somebody, it seems nobody answers their phone anymore. But the idea is you call us, we answer our phone. It's a constant availability we have with our agents. And our mission is, first, we have to help out the senior population. That's what it's all about. It's about making sure those seniors have their health care capped, have their retirement solution. It has to be all in place, because we know there's a lot of bankruptcy, a lot of hardship in the senior communities. So our mission is to help them. We have to help out the senior population. So who is going to help out the seniors? But it's insurance agents. So we have to make sure if the agents are going to help those seniors, which is our mission, well, we have to help those insurance agents. And that's all with the mentoring, coaching, and training and availability. It really works for us.
Talk to me, Patsy. Let's go. Because it seems to be like it's his show today. I was waiting for a question directed to one of us, because he's taking all the credit for everything.
The way it gets, that's all right. Let it go. Let it go.
Being the newest member of the team and at least in this threesome, the youngest member of the family, how have they welcomed you, first of all, and then how have you claimed your spot to offer your
So
value?
how have they treated me?
Don't
It's a
listen
good
to what
introduction,
it's saying.
Patsy. So you asked how I got into the business. There wasn't really an option. It was you have to come to the business. Patrick, you said earlier how people from Jersey and New York, I think you get the memo on that one. I didn't really have an option. He pulled us into it. My fiance thinks it's hysterical how we can have a blowout fight and no joke in 10 minutes ask each other, oh, what are we getting for dinner? And be perfectly fine. Like it never happened. So that family dynamic like that is great. Not many people could do it. We get to do it, and I love it, and I enjoy it, and I wouldn't trade for anything. As far as how do I fit myself into the company, I think you got to respect the hierarchy. Like I said, they laid the ground before I came in. I saw it, so it wasn't like I was a 5-year-old kid and got to just jump into it. I saw it when I was, 14 years old? So I saw what it took to build the company and come into it, so you got to respect that. Like I always say, number 1, number 2, and I am proud to be number 3.
Nick, I'm curious because a lot of family businesses, in particular, family businesses where you do talk business at home, you talk business at Thanksgiving or over Sunday dinner, where they have those blowout fights. It's not 10 minutes later. Sometimes it's 10 months later or 10 years later before those hard feelings pass. So what do you do differently how are you able to get through it? Again, talk to that listener whose family relationships have been strained by the fact that they work together. What's the secret sauce?
Listen, that's a question that's gonna be tough for me to answer because I don't even know how that'd be possible. Someone in our family not talking for 10 months, I don't think that can ever possibly happen. I think it lays out the trust and stuff like that, which we do not lack any of trust in our family. The love is there, stronger than ever, it will always be. So I don't see how we can go. It's tough for me to give that advice. I'm happily telling you I can't give you that answer because it's something that will never lay grounds in my house.
Well, but let me ask you this. How do you build trust as a family?
How do you build trust as a family? I think it's just, could I interject?
Yeah, go for it.
Patsy, he feels like he has to talk now.
Watch this.
I think it goes on a few things, and I think that it takes time, but you have to remember one thing. Your family is always there, regardless of if you're in business or not with each other. If you allow outside, there is never going to be anyone in life that goes through life itself not having arguments or differences with any of their family members. Because in that model, that's too perfect, and we all know that. Anyone listening right now, it could be a small fight or a mega fight. We get into fights. I mean, that's what family is. But I think the biggest thing is what builds the trust is knowing that you're always there. Like, it's not an option. Like, if me and Nikki were in a fight and God forbid something happened, the fight is immaterial. I'm there for him. So I think the trust is built on always knowing that someone's there. And I think it takes time for some people to get that. But if you always have their best interest, like even with us, we'll never say to you in any business decision, all of us agree in everything all the time, because we don't. But what we look at is all of us have our opinions, but we have to look at the opinion and say which one's going to be more suitable to warrant all of us to be involved. And I think that that's where the trust is going to come from.
Yeah, there you're talking about alignment. And we often draw the distinction between alignment and agreement, that as a leadership team, you may not agree, but you still have to align, right? That, okay, I've said my piece behind closed doors, but when the door opens, we have each other's backs. That's alignment. So it sounds like you're doing that. Talk to me about culture and core values. Joe Sr., when you built this business, or how long into it before you sat down and came up with the core values, right? When it's just you, I don't know, maybe you did it then, but usually when it's just me, I don't think about defining my core values. But as the team grows, how do you make sure that the team embodies what's most important to you? You founded this with a mission.
Right. So I think going back in the beginning, and you just really summed it up, in the beginning, do you really have this core value, this mission you're going to do? It wasn't really a core mission. The idea is I was just out there because I saw what it was and I ran with it because I believed in it. If you believe in something, and what's very important in business is you could believe in something, but if if it's not really there, if the market is not really there, you're believing in something that's not going to take you anywhere. But I believed in it, and the market I knew grew exponentially every single day in this country. I knew where we were going. I knew it was the right place to be. So as far as the core mission in the beginning, it was really my internal morals and ethics that I had to make sure I always did the right things at the right time. So I always proceeded going forward. And as the organization grew, that's when I started to listen to the agents. We always talk about that little one-room office that we had in the beginning. And we had a little conference table, right? Patrick and Patsy, a little conference table in the middle. And there was 6 agents there when I first started. And we always talk about that many years later to where we grew, where we are today. And it's very humbling to see that, right? It's incredible. But just remembering those 6 agents in the beginning that sat around this table, I listened to them. And the idea is I knew how to sell, right? That's my strong point. So now if they weren't selling, what's going on? Because all I am to you as an agent is get me where I got to be. Right? I'm the catalyst to make you become productive. So they would ask me, Joe, what do I do? And I would mentor, coach, and train them along the way. And as more and more agents grew, in other words, now the complexities start to grow and what their needs were. And once we knew what their needs were, now we started to put it all into not a book, but like a playbook of things you need to do. If this happens, if that happens, what are your daily exercise? What's your regimen? And from there, we knew, what you should do. If you follow what you should do, a plan that works and you follow it, it's going to work for you. And that's how we eventually grew into what we are today. It all become like the scalability. And as you grow, things have to change, more departments added. And that's where we are now.
Takes me back to where we started a few minutes ago in terms of being adaptable.
So let's talk about that. I alluded to that when we opened that you've had some pretty significant growth, right? From 2022 to 2023, you grew, correct me if the numbers are wrong, but if I'm in the ballpark, we're good. You had a 33% increase in revenue from 22 to 23, and then from 2023 to 2024, a 52% increase. That's pretty significant. Did I get that right? Is accurate? Okay. Pretty significant. That challenges everything. It challenges the infrastructure. It challenges your team, challenges the culture, challenges communication, right? Some of those fights, there's just greater stress. So how did that test the system? And how did you, what did you learn from that? There's a few questions. How did it challenge the system and what did you learn from it? Maybe I'll stop there.
Because I got a perfect segue for you to do. So if you talk about our industry, first of all, so our industry grows exponentially every single day. Great industry. But if you even look back in 2020 during COVID, we were up. We were up significantly during COVID. So our business didn't have there's no demographic effects, COVID effects, legislative effects. It doesn't matter. So we just keep on moving forward. So now you look at those years, right? So 23, 24, moving forward beyond, what really happens is you start to utilize certain technologies, right? Certain systems, right? And that's what my son's brought into the industry, brought into the business for us. So, Joe, talk about, I guess, the systems and technology, how it helped us grow.
I think going back to what Patsy was saying with adaptability, I still remember the night, and I'm sure you do, we were in your house. It was right when we got locked down. And, our business really was a face-to-face business. So for an insurance agent to say that, hey, we're going on lockdown and we don't know when we're opening up, that's a really scary time. And I remember that night, do you remember that night, Nick?
Yep.
We were all talking. I said, we got to really release what we're planning now. And it really, in my opinion, it got our agents because it was an entire, e-app technology platform and again, no one had access to it prior. So we had to train these agents literally within days, not being in an office. So picture, having, 1,000 agents on webinars, teaching them technology that they never learned before. But because of that, we grew. And I mean, because of that, we also were able to have these agents provide for their family because some states, they could have been locked down 4 or 5 months where they were not able to visit with people. So going back, on systems and whatnot, if you want to have that kind of growth, you need to be developing systems that will continue that growth. It's almost like saying if you had a home and you wanted to put an extension on the home and all of your focus was on the new extension, but you let the rest of the house deteriorate and you didn't pay attention. It's a landslide that's just happening, and eventually that landslide is going to catch up to where you are right now. So if you want to have continuous double-digit growth like that, you got to have the systems in there. And a lot of the time, people always think systems need to be, adapted when you're a certain size. You could be a one-man company and have systems in place. Yeah. And a lot of business owners always think that I don't have the proper funding to allow myself to maybe develop technology or build it. That's not true either. So, I think that if a small business owner is listening right now, don't think that you need to have readily available funding to develop or build or purchase outside technology. There's a lot of technology out there that will make things a lot easier for anyone, not just in an insurance field, but in any field whatsoever. You got to just look at it. And I always look at anything that we invest in. It's what is that going to do for us? And it's not always immediate, because sometimes it's going to take, 1, 2, 3 years to reap that reward. But I think that any business owner that currently right now is not adapting technology, and especially even artificial intelligence, what we're going into now, I think it's going to be a rough road of the future. But if you adapt to it now, I think you're going to have an incredible future. And you're going to say to yourself, I should have been doing this earlier. But it's okay. Use it now, and you'll reap the rewards in the future.
Gaston, who focused on technology, he wasn't in the technology industry, and he said exactly what you're saying. If you think you're not in the technology business, then you don't have a business, regardless.
Well, and it's just like we just wrapped up an opportunity event for insurance agents, and I always when we get to the technology section, I always ask them, how many of you are afraid of artificial intelligence? And everyone raises their hand. And then I said, for those of you that were at a decent age in the year of 2000, how many of you were afraid of Y2K? Yeah. And all of them raised. And I said, well, look, 25 years later, we're still here. So, it's not about it. If you're afraid of something, you need to learn what is it about and how can I adapt to it so I'm not behind the 8 ball. But I think, listen, great things are ahead in the form of technology, again, if you utilize it.
I mean, Nikki, what's your thoughts on technology, man?
I was going to ask now. I want to hear, Nick, how are you leveraging AI? It's a great question.
You look like in our business. I don't want to confuse you guys if you don't know it too in depth, but basically, like what Joe was saying, pre-COVID, the whole process, if I was an agent, I would have to cold call leads. Let's say my dad was a client. I'd get him on the phone after how many dials, set an appointment. I have to do all the research. I'd have to cross-reference every carrier, check all his doctors. Long task. Schedule the appointment to go meet him face-to-face, commute that drive, go there, and enroll him. How long does that take? Now, we literally just we call him, put his information into our platforms. AI breaks everything down, compares the carriers, shows us which one is the best, most suitable for him. And from there, I can enroll him over the phone. He can do an e-signature on his phone or his email. It can be, it's crazy how easy it is. Yeah. Because like I said, when I grew up watching the enrollments happen with him, he'd be lugging suitcases around of different carrier. It was crazy. He would drop us off at school and it was like briefcases as if he was going to JFK. Meanwhile, he was just going to different towns. So it's crazy that if you don't lean into technology, like Joe was saying, you get left behind. Yeah.
So here's what I'm hearing. And again, this is relevant to a listener, a CEO or a senior leader who doesn't matter the industry. It's the technology might be confusing in the beginning, right? It's because it's new, it's different. But it doesn't sound like it's the technology that's hard. It sounds like it's more the change management that's hard. Like, how do you get all of your agents who raise their hand and said they're afraid of AI? What is your strategy or your approach for helping them overcome that fear? So that they can embrace it. Because again, it's not the technology that's hard, it's the adoption of it. And every leader out there is, if they're not experiencing it yet, they're going to be.
Well, let me answer one thing, because I want you to get to the AI thing. So if you look at, as far as the enrollment platforms, if there wasn't COVID, the idea that there might not be that urgency to find something to do online. So that COVID, horrible situation, right? We hope never have to go through that again. But because of what that was, we had to find something different, and we found something different to work. So now, Joe, talk about now, what do we do that's so particular to us that we help agents embrace these new technology platforms?
Well, think about anything new to anyone you're going to be afraid of, right? I mean, if you take a young kid and you put them on a bicycle, they're going to be afraid to ride the bicycle. It's who's holding them up and walking alongside of them, guiding them to not be afraid. So I think that that's where we come in, is having those support components in there so that that agent is not alone. And again, it's showing them, hey, if you do start using technology or you do start using these systems, look at what it can do. Like what Nikki said, you know, if you took the typical agent's path, that if they weren't using technology, that process could be hours. If you could boil that down to, I mean, we have it done now where that process is literally done in less than 12 minutes. So imagine if you took an hour and a half or 2 hour process down to 12 minutes. Look at how much free time you've made that person. So if you look at any business owner, if you could remember one thing that the one thing we all have in common, we all only have 24 hours in a day. So we can't create extra hours, but we could save time. So if that business owner could save an hour, 2, 3 hours a day, well, what now could they be doing? And, that's when you start adding the components of, if you were a one-man person, all right, well, what if I now have these systems in place and I hire someone? Look at how much more we could be doing. And maybe I wasn't able to, afford to pay that one new hire. But now with my free time, I could focus more time on getting new sales. And those new sales could dictate the salary for that new hire. Yeah. So again, you got to just look at what makes sense. And again, every business is different, So you someone listening right now that maybe owns a shoe store. Well, it's going to be a little bit different, but again, all of the processes are the same. It's about shaving time, becoming more efficient, and providing better service to your staff and also the end user, the client.
Now, I warned you this before we started. This is the Frustrated CEO podcast, so kind of a question we like to ask every one of our guests is, what frustrates you? What keeps you awake at night? And then how do you address it? How have you overcome it for our listener who's dealing with the same thing?
So what keeps me up at night? So just how do we engage more? How do we brand senior services more? How do we make sure agents have the tools they need to survive? How do we make sure agents can live? Right? We want to make sure, we're very conscious of making sure our agents, can make a good living for themselves, right? And some earn fantastic incomes with us too. So what we're always looking for is that what keeps me up is, what more can we do? I don't know everything, and all of us, every day we're learning more and more, not because we don't want to and it just comes in our lives, it's because we search to learn more and more. We're always searching to learn more that we can bring to our agent community. Keeping me up at night is something I really look forward to, because every night I do wake up and I start thinking, your mind starts to wander, right? And why not start thinking? And I might think about something Joey told me during the day, or something Nikki told me a week ago. And you start having all these thoughts and you start putting 2 and 2 together and say, well, if I do this, will it bring this? If I do that, will it do that? So you kind of really figure out along the way. But so I wouldn't really say keeping me up at night. It's just listening to your inner, not desires, but what you want to do to help people out there. It's all about helping, because the adage, once you help somebody first, everything else comes to you. And really believe in that, Patrick, right? We're always there to help out anybody. Our doors are always open to any one of our agents. So that's what it's like for me.
So Joe, when you have those ideas, when you have those thoughts, what if we did this? How do you test that? Like, who's your inner circle? And how do you test those ideas and decide which ones to go with and which ones not to?
So the first person I really bounce off the idea to is my wife, who will be next door to me, right, if I'm in bed, right? So I go and tell her, and I bring, so she said, what do you want? I said, you have to listen to this. Tell me what you think. And our brain goes, no good. I said, okay, good night. Now I start thinking more and more, how do I fix this? Or I said, oh, what do you think of this? She goes, that's a good idea. Okay, now I'll follow up on that one. So I listen to these ideas. So first I breeze it towards her. Then I breeze it towards my sons. Now I have 2 sons. So the idea is different trains of thought going on. They think a little differently than I think at times. But the idea is, maybe they're right, maybe I'm right. Maybe they're wrong, maybe I'm wrong. But we bounce off these ideas with each other. And if they tell me, so we're more, I think, more apt to get like, no, that's a bad idea from you guys. If I give you an idea, is it more that you guys say, no, it's a silly idea?
I don't think so. I think we're pretty fair.
Okay, I say they're fair. Okay, very good. It's just me then. So the idea, they bring me by these ideas. So I bring to them, and we discuss them. And now we're discussing ideas. They tell us, no, if you do it this way, do it this way. And collectively, we put it all together. And each one of us are thinking like that. We all have these different ideas that we bring to the table. We really look at what's the pros and cons of each, because there has to be pros and cons. And whatever outweighs whatever is the pros, we go with it. That's it. And we implement it. But we don't just throw it out there and leave it alone. You got to start something, believe in it, and get the job done. And then implement it and bring it out to your agents. And now it becomes tested in the marketplace. And from there, you'll tweak it along the way. So it's always a constant kind of tweaking going on.
So here's a question for Nick and Joey, right? Succession planning, right? Dad's not going to be in the business forever. Joe, I don't know what your plan is for how long you want to work.
Patrick, think again.
Yeah, is it?
Think again.
Patrick,
You can skip that question, move on to the next one, because he ain't going to
deal with the devil and he's never going to die.
I'll share with you, both of us will probably retire before he does.
I mean, so maybe that does answer my question was, what is your vision for the business? Where do you see this going?
Who do you want to answer that one first?
I'll let you two fight it out.
You want to answer it first?
Sure. I think that we all share the same exact vision and goal. And to say, like, when he retires, he's not going to retire, and I wouldn't want him to retire, because what we do is just the three amigos. There's no dynamic like this that we get to do it every day. The vision is, honestly, it's what I say all the time, not just about work, but it's the endless pursuit of greatness. Every single day you give 100%, sky's the limit. The only time, like you said before, what keeps you up at night, the only thing that could ever keep me up at night is not giving 100%, saying, oh, I could have did more that day. If you give 100%, there's nothing to keep you up at night, because you tried your hardest. It's like that social dilemma. You can look at your phone on social media all day long and compare yourself to people that are living imaginary lives. Or you just look yourself in the mirror and be like, did I do good today? Did I do better than I was yesterday or a year ago? And if you could say yes to that, I'm sleeping well at night.
Yep.
So what keeps me up at night? I think my mind goes too fast. I get a lot of ideas and I want to execute all of them. But I think that what you look at is the vision of what we have is, if we look back since 2007, and if you look at where we are now, there are a lot of visions that I had, but if I told you that I would have ever have thought we would be where we are today, I would tell you if I told you that, I'd be lying. Because you look at, it's great to have good visions, and people say, oh, I want a big company, I want to become successful. But looking at everything that this organization has, it's beyond what you could ever have thought it reached, right? You have, our entire family in it. I was talking to someone and they said, it's amazing how sometimes, some people don't see their family, a year could go by. And I thought to myself, I see them every day. Like sometimes I say, I haven't stopped by their house, in a long time. But meanwhile, I'm with them 8 hours a day. And I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot about that. Yeah. So, you look at all of those things, and it's the most incredible thing to look at that. Where I see us going, there's so many different tangents. And I think that to answer that in a vague term, broad like that, just help out more people. And, looking at the future, I would love, like you said, he's not going anywhere. There's a better, knock on wood, there's a better chance of us retiring before he does. But the same way, I look at the future of the same way how we're so fortunate that me and Nikki get to work together and we get to work together. Well, what if we could put another generation on that where our kids get to work with us and you just continue this generational path of having all of your family members involved. And a lot of the time, if someone is listening right now and they say, my kids would never want to do what I do, present it to them. Yeah. Because I'll tell you this, growing up as a 10-year-old, if he would have ever said to me, hey, you want to start an insurance company together? I would have probably been, no. I would like, what? I don't want to be in insurance. That's not like, that's not a sexy business to be in. But you look and sometimes, those decisions that you never thought would happen actually end up happening, and they could be the greatest decisions you've ever made in your life. So I think it's creating more, getting more generations involved, providing better services to agents, helping out, seniors with the care that they need, and just doing what we do every day. Yeah. If I get to do this for another 30 years, I'm very happy with that.
Sounds like a great place to pause. Great place to end that conversation. And as we like to say, we end every episode with what we call the Let's Get Practical, which is practical 1, 2, 3 suggestions from each of us that our listener can hopefully easily implement. A lot of the wisdom that you've talked about today, or maybe it isn't, maybe it's something that we didn't even get to. Be like, oh, here's what a CEO or a senior leader or founder has to do, right? So here's your chance to shine, share your wisdom. Gentlemen, I'll let you go for Joe Sr., as the elder statesman in the room, I'm going to let you go first. We'll honor you. Plus, you've got the most wisdom among all of us, I'm guessing. So what 1, 2, 3 suggestions would you have for a listener for things that they can implement today to start making inroads in their own business?
So listen to yourself. Listen to yourself and understand that if you have this desire, this burning desire to be successful, well, listen to what's going on in your daily life. Are you making steps each day to get towards that, right? So we have this golden mission everybody has. So what is it? Find out what it is first and listen and look. And we always have these acronyms, LPRs, want to listen, process, and react. Look at what's going on in your life. Is everything you're doing going towards this mission that you want to do? If something's not working, change it. Find people to help you and react accordingly and just follow your dream and make it happen. But don't ever settle. Don't ever settle. Don't get complacent. Once you reach in your mission, as you keep on going along, you're going to notice that you're going to be earning more and more. But don't settle. Don't ever be complacent because you don't know what tomorrow can bring. So make sure you're always more and more, put more and more into your business, help more and more people because it can happen if you make it happen.
Nick or Joe? Joey, who wants to go?
Nick, you want to go?
Yeah, Joe usually closes out every video for us. All our training videos, opens them and closes them, so we'll stick to that.
Yeah.
I think my dad nailed it. Honestly, I couldn't have said it better, but I'll give you my input. I personally think that consistency means everything in life in general, whether it's working out fitness-wise or work-related. If you're not consistent, if you come in here and all of a sudden say, oh, I'm going to call 200 leads today, but then the rest of the week you call 10, what good did you do? Every day, make 100 calls. Every day, make 50 calls, whatever it is. You go to the gym 5 days a week. Don't go once a week and kill yourself. You got to be consistent, especially in life, like my dad was saying, like don't get complacent, just always be competitive. Think about it. There's so many jobs that don't require like some genetic ability or some crazy thing. Like me, if I love basketball. Unfortunately, I'm not 6'5" and I can't dunk, I can't block. I'm never going to the league. But in sales, in business, you don't need any of those crazy attributes. You could teach yourself so many different things. Think about back in the day, you would have read how many textbooks to gain knowledge. Now, if I want to learn something, I can go on YouTube or TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is. I could learn how to do that in a day or two. Yep. So there's so much available to you nowadays that if you're just consistent and willing to learn and willing to just be better than everyone else, I mean, like I always say, it's strive for greatness. Yep. Just keep on going and never stop and never settle. And the world is yours.
That was very good.
I'll leave it on 2 remarks. So one, by giving up, it's a quick feeling of relief, period. Because after that, all those tough things that you're going through, you're still going to have, right? Everyone, you get to a certain point, you work so hard and something is in your road, blocking you, and you just give up. But what did that do? It didn't solve, it made it easier for that moment, but all the life struggles that you've been going through, they're going to continue tomorrow. And I think that, for anyone listening right here, because we're frustrated CEOs, so a lot of probably business owners, is when I hear the slogan of, don't take it personal, it's just business. That doesn't exist in me. Everything is personal. It's not business, it's personal. And the reason why it's personal, especially for me, is I have them too. So everything, if something comes to me and so it's just business, no. It's personal because this business takes care of my entire family. So it's personal. And if, any CEO, whether or not you're the CEO because you founded the company, you started the company, you own the company, or maybe you just, rode that corporate ladder, you should love the company that you're leading. So that's personal to you. That's like, I love my dad. That's not personal. So anything that I love, it's personal. So for my company, anyway, that slogan doesn't exist for me. And I think that if any CEO just takes that viewpoint, you're going to see a tremendous difference. You can't view it as this is work. This is part of my life. I have to do certain things. If you think that I wake up every day walking through that door saying, oh, here are all the things that I have to do and I love doing every one of them. No, but I look at, if I don't get those things accomplished, who's going to suffer, right? Because any way you look at it, a lot of people, when you're a CEO, you have oversight over everything, right? And a lot of the time, that CEO might say, well, it's that person's fault, or it's that person's fault, or they're not doing what I told them, or they're not operating the speed. But no, it's not. You're the leader, right? You could blame them, but maybe you're not giving them the tools, the resources, the knowledge that they need in order to get that job done. And I think, part of that's a thing that keeps everyone up at night, is making sure that everyone has what they need so that what you're asking of them or what you expect of that person, they're accomplishing that. So I guess, Patrick and Patsy, I gave you 3 little tidbits to close.
I think they about summed it up. Let's see. The one I would add is that care, believing in yourself and your customers, and care is more important, is a foundational focus for impact, not just making money. So that's what's come out very prominent with everything you guys have said. And the other is be proactive and invite feedback.
Good. I'll add. I had a bunch. You summarized a lot of them. One I think is very practical, and then one is more broad. The very practical is, Joe, you talked about a big catalyst for your growth was your investment in technology, and if you want big growth, you've got to invest in the technology to support that growth. I know it's a challenge for every leader. When and how much do we invest? But it especially with AI and what's available, make the investment now. That's really how you're going to scale and grow. And then there were several points that I took throughout the conversation that, rather than speak to individually, the theme that runs through it, and Joey, you said as much, it's take care of your people. It's support your people. Right. So for you guys, for SSNA, your people are the agents. For the listener, your people are your employees, the teams, right? The people that work for you. And there were several points that I took from your stories and your wisdom and your conversation, like mentor, coach, and train your people to support them in their success. Give them the tools that they need. That's supporting your people. When you roll out new technology, support them in that process, right? Help them with understanding what's in it for them, and train them and support them in that process. And even that mirror work that you talked about, always be asking, what more can I do? Right? That helps answer the question, am I doing enough to take care of my people? So that's just, I think for me, again, just invest in technology if you want that big growth, and then just take care of your people. You take care of your people, and they'll take care of your customers for you.
We look at all of our agents, they're not just numbers to us. They're part of our family, and we promote their growth.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Well, and that's probably where your growth is coming from. So, gentlemen, if a listener is interested in learning more about SSNA, or talking to you, or having you on their podcast, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Joey?
Go get it, tech, Joey. You could reach out to, you could send me a direct email. We always answer, Joseph, JOSEPH, at SSNAinsurance.com. I would love right now to give your cell phone number.
I will.
But I wasn't going to steal your show. I was going to allow you to do that.
Oh, thank you.
But, you look at, and anyone listening, regardless of if you're interested in learning more about the insurance world, if you just want to pick our brain about anything, like I said, we have a dynamic. As you could probably see, we have very big opinions. We're very loud spoken, and we don't mind saying what's on our mind. So I think that a lot of that is good, right? And I think sometimes a lot of companies may try to dwarf that a little bit, because maybe that may not promote the growth that they want. But like I said, if any of you ever wanted to reach out, you could always feel free and give us a holler. I'm more than happy to hop on a call or whatever.
And if I could just put it out I just want to make sure I put this out so everybody could hear this. I am so proud to have my sons around me every single day, and I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world. We are truly a whole asset together. It doesn't work when any one of us missing. It doesn't work. So I'm very proud of my boys.
That's beautiful. All right. And website, you want to give that?
you can head over to SSNAopportunity.com.
Okay. And Joe Sr., did you want to give out your cell phone?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
888-230-2199.
Right. There you go. Patsy, thank you for, as always, being a fantastic colleague on this program. I appreciate you. And Joe, Joey, and Nick Battaglia, thank you so much for joining us on the Frustrated CEO. Yeah, and listener, thank you for joining us, sticking with us to the end of another episode. Check out thefrustratedceo.com. Also, check us out on YouTube. That's where you can not only hear us, but see us. Check us out there, and then connect with us. And if you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, by all means, reach out to either Patsy at thefrustratedceo.com or Patrick at thefrustratedceo.com. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Listener, thank you for sticking with us, and we'll see you again next time on the Frustrated CEO podcast.